Hello everybody and welcome to another top 10 list. This week we're doing something a little unconventional because at first I was thinking to myself I'd like to do one about just like the scariest treacheries, like what treacheries really worry me the most. And I realized that was a very large list of cards to really go through. Like I basically had to look at every single treachery to decide where I drew the line, and I realized that might be a little too in-depth. So I decided to shrink it down a little bit, and my very nuanced thought was that I was going to look at treacheries where it does something when you're in alter ego versus hero form. And where I ultimately landed, because even that list was a little bit long, was cards where when you are in alter ego form, threat gets added to the main scheme, and when you are in hero form, damage happens. So that could be either actual just literal threat gets added, or an attack occurs, or a fixed number of damage occurs. That is the list. We're looking at treacheries that a fixed amount of scheming happens, a fixed amount of attacking happens, and it should be based on what form you're in. Now that said, we do have an honorable mention right off the bat. I have two honorable mentions that I'll be mentioning, between spots 2 and 1 that are actually part of the list. But where my mind initially went was Spell Blast, which is a treachery out of the Enchantress encounter set. And it has the one revealed if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. If your identity has the Enthralled trait, do both. And it is in any order. And it says to choose between the Enchantress schemes, +1 scheme if you are in expert mode, and the Enchantress attacks you, +1 attack if in expert mode. And while I do think that this is close to what I was looking for, and it's a very scary treachery within the context of the scenario, not concerned about what form you're in, and I know that's at this point that's splitting hairs. In my mind, that's just not exactly what I was looking for. It can be debated. I'm the one who kind of figured out the parameters, and you listening to this, you can be like, oh, I think this kind of fits your parameters. So just think of it as a glorified number 11. At the same time, it didn't precisely fit what I was looking for, so I did not include it on the list. But let's waste no more time. We've already burned up a couple minutes here just explaining, trying to wrap my mind around, or trying to explain what this list is so that you have some expectations. And I want to hear your cards after you listen to this, after you think it over. What cards either on this list you love or that jump to your mind? That are like, no, I think this card is far more scarier within the context of the scenario. But right off the bat, we've got my number 10, which is Atlanteans. It is a treachery with when revealed, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If you are in alter ego form, place 1 threat on the main scheme for each different card type discarded this way. Or if you're in hero form, take 1 indirect damage for each different card type discarded this way. I think this is a treachery within this context that I would find legitimately worrisome, because in the right deck where you are fairly balanced in what you have in your deck, and you've got a diversity of card types, you hit all of the allies, the upgrades, the supports, the player side schemes, the resources, like you have a healthy balance of all that. This can just be 3 threat out of nowhere. This can be 3 indirect damage out of nowhere. That said, it does come up by number 10 because I think that this is something that is easy to mitigate. In the indirect damage, if you have allies out, you're certainly in a position where you should not just lose the game to this. And I think this is a little bit scary in alter ego form, because this could very well just add 3 threat to the main scheme, and that could be enough. When you're sitting there doing the math as to like, okay, this will be completed, I'll threat out. I'm adding 2 here, plus the villain is scheming, but like there's only so many icons. So I think that we've got a window of, we've got 8 more threat that can be added. I think we're only going to add 5 or 6. And I think we're going to survive. And then all of a sudden Atlanteans comes down and your deck just beats you. I think that is legitimately enough of a threat to make this card notable. And it is new, so it could very well be more threatening than I'm letting it on to be. I have limited experience with it, but I think that the times that it has come into play, it has been the kind of thing that's like, oh, that was close. That could have been the end of the game right there. Or, I lost the game because of this in some form or fashion. And so that's why it becomes my number 10. I'm giving it a little bit of the cult of the new, but at the same time, I do think that it is legitimately a card worth paying attention to. Next up, we have my number 9, which is out of the Dark Beast encounter, and that is Evil Genius. A treachery with when revealed, alter ego, Dark Beast schemes, give him a tough status card. When revealed in hero form, Dark Beast attacks you, give him a additional boost card for this attack. I don't think that there is a equivalent in like Rhino or Claw. I think there is a card that is similar to this in Ultron. So this is something that dates back to the core set in some form or fashion. Ultron has one where he schemes or he attacks, and then you discard cards off the top of your deck, I think equal to the amount of damage or threat added. It's up on screen, obviously. And that was definitely a contender for this list. Spoiler, it does not make this list. But that was a contender because within the context of that scenario, just Ultron is just eating away at your deck. And I think that is something notable as a mechanic within that scenario. I think Dark Beast just getting a tough status card, which Dark Beast is a character that or in a scenario that I very much think of like Rhino Plus. Like it is very basic. It's very much like Rhino, and then they just started kind of adding hooks and components on top of it. And I think that if there was a card like this in Rhino, it would be a scary card, especially Rhino is like, your first scenario, the first thing you go up against when you're learning the game. And if it was just like out of nowhere, strangely, I thought that there was cards that read specifically like this in Standard, and there actually isn't, because in Alter Ego, the cards were like you're in hero form, the villain attacks you. In Alter Ego, it always just surges. So it didn't actually fit the confines of this. I could be very wrong. I don't believe that there's anything where you're playing against Rhino and he can just surprise scheme. It's possible that there might be something where he gets an extra activation in some form or fashion. This is not a Rhino discussion. This is Evil Genius. So all that to say, Evil Genius is a card that I think is threatening because Dark Beast can just run away with the game sometimes. Like I said, he's like the Rhino in the fact that there's not a lot to him. He's very basic. I think the hit points are pretty similar as well. But just this general feeling of like, oh, if Dark Beast schemes, like that could just be the game. And giving him a tough status to just make him that much harder to defeat. Obviously, you can come at the game with piercing. You can come at the game with, the ability to just kind of like ping off some damage or whatever. Throw Ironheart at him to just take that one damage off or whatever. I'm trying to think now if he has a way to have retaliate. I don't remember him having a way to have retaliate, just naturally, but it's possible. Either way, this is the kind of card that just throws a wrench into your game and just makes it so that Dark Beast goes from being a fairly simple villain to fight into, oh, okay, so he's got a tough status. Okay, so now we need to burn through that. So I thought we had Exacxes. Now we don't have Exacxes, and I don't have any way of getting into piercing. Why didn't I invest more in piercing? But yeah, overall, I like this card for the fact that it evokes emotion. It seems so simple, and it is very simple, but at the same time, out of nowhere, it just suddenly makes you go, why? Why did this happen? But moving on to my number 8, and that is Master Mold's Children, a card that I actually feel like I forgot about. So when revealed in Alter Ego, each minion engaged with you schemes. If you are not engaged with a minion, Master Mold schemes. And we'll touch back on what significance that has in just a second. When revealed in hero form, each minion engaged with you attacks you. If you are not engaged with a minion, Master Mold attacks you. So why this is significant? Master Mold scheming means that when he schemes against you, you discard cards on the top of the encounter deck until a Sentinel minion is discarded. Put that minion into play, engage with you. Do not give Master Mold a boost card for this activation. So what this scenario is going to do, and for the most part, the minions you should be fighting in a base version of Master Mold, obviously you can augment it. I support the idea of augmenting it, but like in a version of this where you augment it, it's not going to be necessarily the same. But when the minions are attacking you or scheming against you, they are Sentinels. Sentinels are they're generally pretty easy to handle, but if one of them gets into play and you don't handle it, it definitely has the ability to just sort of like progress the game very rapidly, like whether it be through damage or through scheming. And Master Mold ending up being the one who schemes means that, okay, so now Master Mold has schemed. He schemed for 1. That's pretty low. But now there's a minion in play. And suddenly you didn't have any minions, and now this treachery put a minion into play. And you added a little bit. You added 1 point, I guess in standard, on level 1. You added 1 more scheme. I'm trying to think now. Does he scheme all the way through 2 and 3? Okay, so with each progressive stage, he gets a little bit more. So that becomes more and more potent. But I think just the idea that, like, he goes to scheme, like, you had no minions, he goes to scheme, or you get this card, Master Mold schemes, suddenly you now have a minion to deal with, and that could be good or bad. You know, you could be, you know, Thor, you could be Winter Soldier, who wants that, you could be Valkyrie, you could just be somebody who wants to, I suppose, Tigra wants to be engaged with minions. So this can be a positive thing, but it can definitely throw a wrench in there. On the flip side, the minions attacking you or Master Mold attacking you is kind of a different thing. Definitely, if you are overwhelmed with Sentinels, this can just be the end of you. Suddenly it's like, oh, I was in the clear, then I had 3 minions attack me, and I threw out all my allies to defend against them, plus I made a defense, and now I just have another like 5 or 6 damage coming at me, and that's no fun, and that can end the game. Because obviously you were throwing your allies in the way because you were trying to preserve your life total. Yeah, overall, this card is one that I don't think about. And then when it happens, I'm just like, oh, no, not again. And it evokes those emotions. And it's such a simple card, but it evokes these emotions. Not to mention the fact that I've gone on and on about what this card is capable of. It seems so simple, but it adds... The way that it's structured is so nuanced that it just is a big middle finger to everything I'm trying to do. Moving on to my number 7. We have out of Escape from the Museum, which is Collector 2. Colloquially, we have I Have You Now, which is a treachery. They're all treacheries. With when revealed in Alter Ego, exhaust your identity, Collector schemes. In hero form, you are stunned. Collector attacks you. And then it has a boost of give Collector a tough status card. So we're not really worried about the boost. We're worried about what the treachery is doing. So just the slight change of, okay, so we're just going to have a scheme, we're going to have an attack, but that added layer of exhaust your identity. Oh, okay, so I went into Alter Ego form because I was going to heal up, or I was trying to find some safety. Now my identity is exhausted. Great. Oh, I'm in hero form, and I have survived the attacks, and oh, there's another attack coming. Oh, and now I'm stunned. So actually, I can't even like retaliate that well. Yeah, this card is maybe not deserving of the number 7. Maybe it should be lower on the list. I do think that it has enough impact, and unlike the Master Mold's Children, which had a lot of nuanced, different things that could happen, this is so blunt that it just hurts. And then that's why it finds its place here. There's not too much to it. You kind of get through your encounter phase really quick, but at the end of it, you're just like, oh, well, all my plans kind of got torn to pieces. And how do we go further from here? Next up, let's talk about my number 6, which is out of Zola, and that is Mind Ray. When revealed, Zola schemes, you are confused. When revealed in Alter Ego, Zola schemes, you are confused. When revealed in hero form, Zola attacks you, you are stunned. So this is kind of similar to what we just talked about with Now I Have You. The only difference here is that you are getting a status thing on you. You could be steady and just avoid whatever this is doing. Obviously, the last one also stunned you, but this just going in and being like, okay, so not only have I schemed against you, but now you can't do anything about the accrued threat because you're confused. Or not only have I attacked you, but now you're stunned, so you can't like retaliate back. This is one that is elegant. I appreciate it for being elegant, and again, it's blunt. And I think the middle of the list is going to prove to be the blunt stuff. Like this is what happens, and you get through it real quick. And it's so blunt that it just sort of leaves you going, I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I need to figure this out. And, why am I the first player? Now I need to like sort out my feelings. And I also am the one expected to take my turn now. Hello, if you are enjoying this content, if this happens to be the third video of mine you've watched today, I would really love a subscription. It goes a long ways. Additionally, if you have discretionary spending, this is not required, but I do have members opened up. I want to make members only content. The demand's just not there yet. But they do get to see the videos as soon as they are live. That can be 24 hours notice. That can be a week and a half's notice, but you get that content right away. Any form of encouragement, any form of support is definitely appreciated. I won't take up any more of your time. But yes, let's move on to my number 5. Psionic Blast out of the MODULAR encounter. So when revealed in Alter Ego, you are confused. MODULAR schemes. When revealed in hero form, take X indirect damage, where X is MODULAR's scheme. Confuse each character that takes damage this way. So obviously this feels very similar to the ones we've just talked about. I feel like the difference here is the fact that MODULAR scheming is a little bit scarier. I do think getting confused is the same sort of, middle finger to what we were just doing. Like, oh, I've added threat and now you as a hero cannot thwart it. So good luck with that. But I think the fact that, and let me look at MODULAR again. Okay. And yeah, and MODULAR has 2 scheme and 3 scheme depending on what you're doing. So yeah, so his scheming can be, his scheme value is relatively high and obviously is higher than his attack. The ability for him to basically make MODULAR is very easy to handle in terms of damage, but Psionic Blast makes it into a scenario where he's actually attacking you for more because his scheming is higher. And I think that taking the damage and then being like, oh, and by the way, you're also confused. Any character that took damage is now confused. That means your allies are confused. You're confused. The players might be confused as to what just happened. Like, I guess the other thing that hurts about this is it's not intuitive. You would think, okay, I just took damage, so I must be stunned. No, you're confused. Oh, shucks. Okay. And I think just the fact that this is a pretty blunt weapon against you, but at the same time, like, does do a little bit more collateral damage than I feel like the last couple cards have done, makes it into a card that I just feel like is worthy of being in the top 5. I just feel like it is a card that just hits you when you're down, and I love for just how nuanced it is. Moving on to my number 4, and I think we're going to get into something that's a little bit, this might be a little biased. And that we're talking about upper hand out of the Hood scenario. So again, Alter Ego form, the Hood's going to scheme. Hero form, the Hood's going to attack you. Notably, you're also going to resolve the Hood's foul play ability, which reads, special, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card does not belong to the Hood encounter set, deal it to yourself as a face down encounter card. So why I think this is important is, 1, you're currently in the process of revealing your encounter cards. So this very well could be another encounter card. No matter what's going on with the foul play ability, it's adding more encounter cards to your stack. And sometimes the thing that outdoes you the most is just the fact that you had to deal with 3 encounter cards in the encounter phase. You're expected to do 1 or maybe 2, depending on the scenario, depending on the difficulty or whatever. Like, okay, I can handle 2 encounter cards. But when that becomes 3 or 4 encounter cards, especially this where you think you're in the clear and then all of a sudden upper hand happens and you discard the top card and you're like, oh, how did a quick strike minion get there? Oh no, and now suddenly it's getting dealt to you, or suddenly you're playing it as an encounter card, and it's quick strike, obviously, and it's just it when it rains it pours, and the upper hand is so simple, so elegant, but plays so well into what the Hood is trying to do in that entire scenario. And I like that scenario. It is complicated to set up. It can be difficult. It definitely is dependent on your card pool, but I think that it is such a fun encounter to do. And this is a card that just undoes plans so efficiently, and I love it for that, even if I hate it. All right, let's turn the corner into the top 3 here. And let's talk about You Stand Accused out of Ronan the Accuser. Again, they're very simple, and I feel like a lot of this, it all comes down to very simple stuff. But we've got one revealed Alter Ego, Ronan the Accuser schemes with +1 scheme. One revealed in Hero, Ronan attacks +1 attack. So one would say this is a bizarre card on its face to just pick to be the number 3. Ronan scheming or attacking is frightening. If he attacked and he didn't already have the Power Stone, not only did he attack with 2 face down boost cards and almost definitely got the Power Stone back unless you blocked with an ally, but if he's making his second attack, there is a decent chance that he now has the Power Stone, which means that +1 attack is actually +2 attack. If he does not have the Power Stone, if you have the Power Stone, that means he's making another attack at you where he gets 2 face down boost cards. And obviously you can splinter it off all the other ways that this is just like Ronan is already a scary enough character, a scary enough villain to fight. But when you give him extra activations, it just becomes so much more than you should be able to handle. And it throws off the math. It does everything in its power to just make the game more difficult. This is not the scariest card out of Ronan the Accuser, but it is a very potent card. And within the context of Ronan the Accuser means that you can go from I just need to survive this turn to I had no chance of winning. I had no chance of surviving. It just becomes untenable. And that is what pushes it all the way up to number 3. It is a simple card that does so much when it is just left to ravage the game. Similarly, let's talk about my number 2, which is very, very similar. It is Avatar of Death out of Thanos. Has, when revealed in Alter Ego, Thanos schemes, very basic. When revealed in hero form, Thanos attacks you. This attack gains overkill and piercing. So, let me just remind you, Thanos at stage 1 has 1 scheme, 2 attack. Stage 2 has 2 scheme, 3 attack. And stage 3 has 2 scheme, 4 attack. Whereas the MODULAR card was threatening for the scheming part and the fact that he has higher scheming, so his attack is scarier. Thanos has so much attack. And we will get into the additional things, the additional caveats in just a second, but Thanos already is a scary character to go up against. If you get this on the attack side, not only does he have Stalwart, so you can't stun or confuse him, but now he's attacking you for 2, 3, 4. He has overkill. He has piercing. He has, he is villainous, essentially. He's going to get an additional boost to this. Like, again, Thanos is not a character that you want attacking you more than once a turn, and this does that. Add on to that you're probably playing with the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't remember. I think the Infinity Gauntlet is required for this encounter, if my memory serves. I'm almost certain of that. So now you got an extra activation. So suddenly your math of, okay, he's used up an Infinity Stone, which means that his attack is, this attack for this turn is going to draw an Infinity Stone. So I'm good. Oh, now he gets an additional attack. So now that Infinity Stone gets used. And similar to Ronan, where it's like, oh, what if he has the Power Stone? It's like, what if Thanos has any of the Infinity Stones? Just any of them. How does that mess with you? What does that do? Does that get rid of a support? Does that deal damage? Does that exhaust you? I don't even remember what all the Infinity Stones do at this point. Does that summon a minion into play? Like, it just gets so out of hand. And yeah, just Avatar of Death is one of those cards that just hits you when you're down, and just it hurts so much. And at the same time, it's still my number 2, which means that my number 1 is going to be even scarier. But before we get into that, let's talk about my honorable mentions real quick. There's only 2 of them. Obviously, we had Spell Blast earlier, but we have Agent of Thanos and we have Rapid Response. So Agent of Thanos is a treachery. Duh. When revealed, Alter Ego form, place 1 threat on the main scheme for each spell environment in your play area. You place no threat this way. This card gains Surge. In hero form, deal 1 damage to your hero for each spell environment in your play area. If no damage, Surge again. And this is out of Ebony Maw. So Ebony Maw, he just sits there and he puts in spells, and they sit there and they slowly tick down, and spells go off over the course of the game. It's pretty cool mechanic, and it's a pretty fun game. It can get a little out of hand. It can feel a little bullshit sometimes. And then we have Rapid Response, which is out of the Martial Law, which is part of the Civil War box. So when revealed, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. If you are in Alter Ego form, place threat on the main scheme equal to that minion's scheme. If you're in hero form, deal damage to your hero equal to that minion's attack. I like this card. It did not make my list. One, it's new. I know I already had Atlanteans on the list. One, it doesn't quite fit what I'm looking for, although it does very well fit into the what form are you in. But it can also do nothing. You can get a minion with 0 scheme, nothing gets added. I don't think there are any minions that have 0 attack, but I guess that's possible. This is not as outright scary as some of the other cards we talked about, which is why I just did not make the list. But let's now move on and talk about my number 1. And that is a card that, oh my gosh, is this the one card that I do not like? Out of Mutagen formula, we have Overconfidence. It is a treachery. When revealed in Alter Ego form, the Green Goblin schemes. If at least 3 threat was placed by this activation, this card gains Surge. When revealed in hero form, the Green Goblin attacks you. If at least 3 damage was dealt by this activation, this card gains Surge. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. This gains Surge if you've already done a bunch of stuff. Like, have already taken... So if you only put 2 threat on, if you only take 2 damage, then this doesn't do anything. But if you've already... If 3 threat got added, if 4 threat got added, oh, and this gains Surge. Or if you took 5 damage, oh, and this also gains Surge. This is a card that haunts me. Mutagen formula is a very, very fun, very skill testing, very good deck testing scenario. But this card is such BS. And I hate it. And I love it at the same time. But when it comes up, I just look at Norman's face and I'm just like, I hate you. I want to punch those teeth. This is just a wonderfully designed card, but oh my gosh, is this obnoxious. And it's funny, having looked at all this and trying to wrap my mind around all this stuff, this is unique. I don't feel like there's another treachery that does this. Usually it's like, where it's like, if this doesn't do anything, it gains Surge. Oh no, this is, if we did an excessive amount of damage or put an excessive amount of threat on, this gains Surge. So you just get another card. And oh my gosh, that just hurts. But that is my list. I know this was a very convoluted and very kind of splitting hairs as to what constitute this list, but there was like up to like 47-ish cards that kind of fit into this. The best thing I can say is just go into Marvel CDB, look up treacheries that mention Alter Ego, and you get a pretty good sense of like what constituted this list. But either way, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, and remember, you're doing great. Keep it up.